Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we will complete the second video for the parts which are not included in SEG library. We will start with the pipe support. After creating a new part, we will create a new sketch, define some dimensions regarding the pipe location, and offset from visual center line, define the tube diameter. After that, we will start creating these dimensions of the support, define the width, the tilted angle, define the offset from the visual center line, and complete the sketch. Now the sketch is closed. After that, we will make an extrude for this by 6 mm. Define the material and the color. Now we will make a mirror for that to the bottom. After that, we will make a pattern to use those strips for N5, N6, N10, and N11. Now we will create a work plane to define the allocation of this nozzle from the shell as a user-defined constraint, which is UCS. Now we will define the X direction and Y direction. Okay, now we will make those invisible. Now we will save this part. Okay, create a folder for other parts. Save it as nozzle with elbow support. Okay, now we can add it to the file simply. So from here we will select the UCS of this item with the UCS of the shell. Okay, so let's select the UCS of the shell, start UCS. Now after clicking apply, now you can figure that the support assembled easily. Now we will start to create a new sketch or a new part for the bundle retainer. So that's the large diameter, which is meter 0.1, and we will draw the sketch for the bundle retainer main plate, define the inside radius and the offset from bottom. Okay, now let's add the complete sketch for the retainer. Okay, we will make a fixation with the center line. Now we will make an offset, so we select a closed loop, define the thickness of this main plate, make a trim for lines, add outside ribs for the two sides, make some equal constraints, define the dimensions from here to there and from top to here. Make this line vertical, make tangent between circle and two lines. Okay, now this sketch is fine. Let's click save. For that, we will save it as the bundle retainer frame or a 2D sketch. Now we have this sketch. We will use it as a reference sketch in the main part. So we will import it from driven part and select the required lines, define the sheet metal properties, the thickness, let's define the thickness, and the unfold rule. So let's make it half to be from the center of that, define the width of this plate and check the offset to be the outside. Click OK. Now we will make a project for the shell inside diameter and make a cut intersect. Okay, so let's make an intersect to cut the other which is not required piece. And now we will make a work plane with an offset with that value. Make a sketch here and let's define the UCS direction, X and Y. Okay, make this line as a work construction line. Define X and Y and click make them invisible. and save it as a bundle retainer part 1. Save this piece and make save as from it to change the material and the color. Okay, now let's save as part 2. Okay, to make the ribs. Okay, now we will make this sketch visible. Let's delete this feature, which is this flange, and let's create a new sketch. Project the lines that we need for that. Okay, after that we will make this sketch invisible and complete the required by using the arc several times, like that. Click finish and define the selected area, define the direction, and delete this feature, which is extrude. Save this part. Now let's make a new assembly for the bundle retainer. Okay, now let's modify the UCS. So the second part we will remove the ground option. So let's remove the ground option from here and assemble by using the UCS. Okay, now it's okay. Let's save it for in other assemblies and save this assembly as bundle retainer assembly. Okay, let's go to the final assembly and import this assembly for bundle retainer. Okay, let's select the UCS with the UCS of the CAN 3. Start UCS of CAN 3. Okay, let's take a section now. Okay, let's make zoom. We need to move it a little bit, so let's change the location 1850. Okay, let's come back to the final model. Now the assembly is okay. Let's save the final assembly. Let's take another section. Now let's create a new part for the bundle sliding rail. Make a sketch for the large diameter of the cone. Make an offset with the length of the eccentric cone. Create another circle for the small diameter of the eccentric cone. Now we will start creating a sketch for the bundle sliding rails. Make a line, make it perpendicular and tangent to the circle. Make a project for the large circle, make a cut, define the width of this sliding rail, define the angle, 28 degrees. Okay, now we will make extrude for this part, and let's save it to our project. Make a mirror for the second piece. Now let's create the UCS. Define the center point as the small diameter of the eccentric cone. Draw the axis for the X and Y. Now click finish and select the UCS defined X and Y. Make it invisible. Now let's save it. Change the material to steel and the color to steel. Let's save it. Now let's assembly it with the final assembly. With the start UCS of the eccentric cone. After that we will import. Okay, select the UCS with the start UCS of the eccentric cone. Now let's take a section. Okay, as you can see, the intersect between that, so we will make a loft with cut, create a new sketch at the end as extend for the sliding rails, come back and create another section to figure out now the slope of the this piece is okay. Now let's create a new part, which is the earthing bolt. So from new part we will create a new sketch and sketch two circles to define the inside and outside diameter of the main part of the earthing bolts. Create extrude, define the material to be steel, make a thread. Okay, now let's save this as earthing bolts part 1. And from the SEG library we will select the bolts, open the iLogic tab, and from here open the bolt data. Okay, define the length, material, all of that, and click save as earthing bolts part 2. Click save. Now let's create a new assembly and import those parts: earthing bolts part 1, earthing bolts part 2. After that, let's create a washer, a new sketch, define the inside and outside circles, diameters, make extrude with 3 mm for the washer, change the material, save this part as earthing bolts part 3. Okay, import this to the assembly, make a constraint, the same for bolt, click save. Now let's save the assembly of the earthing bolts, and after that we will import it to the assembly of the saddle to make it appear on the drawing. Now let's make a constraint. By using the planes, define the offset from bottom and offset from the outside. The same steps we will do it for the second saddle. Okay, let's open the other saddle and import the assembly of the earthing bolts. We will do the same steps.